What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Daily Scoop, where we go beyond the headlines and look at the stories, personalities, music, and conversation shaping Jamaican entertainment. Big up to everybody who continue to support the channel. If you are new here, make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, and join the family. Because today we have a lot to unpack. We are talking about Masicka, Skillibeng, Vibes Cartel, Alkaline, Beanie Man, Ninja Man, Footer Hype, and a lot more. And that conversation is not simply about who released what song. So today we are going to take our time and break it down from several different angles. But before we get there, we also have some sad news to acknowledge. Let's begin with the human side of the story. Dancehall entertainer Kipridge, whose given name has been reported as Marlon Plunkett, is mourning the passing of his father. His father reportedly passed away at the age of 72 following some health complication. According to the information, Kipridge's father has had been dealing with kidney-related issue and had been scheduled for additional medical testing. Unfortunately, the situation took a tragic turn, and regardless of what is happening in the entertainment industry, moments like this remind us that behind every artist is a human being. Kipridge may be known to fans for his music, personalities, performances, and entertainment career. But before all of that, he is somebody's son. Losing a parent is never an easy experience. So from the Daily Scoop, we extend condolence to Kipridge, his family, and his friends. May the family find strength during this difficult period. And that brings us to an important reminder. Entertainment news can be exciting, music can create arguments, artists can clash, fans can choose side, but at the end of the day, these are real people living real lives. Sometimes we have to remember that. Now, let's move into the music. One of the biggest names in the current dancehall conversation is Massicka. Massicka has been putting serious work into his career for years. His journey is interesting because he did not become an international name overnight. He has built his reputation gradually. Massicka recently became a part of a major conversation surrounding his album and his performances. His project Forever Rain has been receiving attention from fans who are examining the music, the lyrics, the collaboration, and the message content throughout the project. And this is where things get interesting because Massicka is not simply releasing music. People are listening and making their analysis. They are comparing his word to the things happening elsewhere in dancehall, and one particular interview from Massicka has opened up a much larger discussion. So, Massicka made it clear that he considered himself a student of music. That statement is important because sometimes fans believe that supporting an artist means you have to reject everybody else, but that's not necessarily how artists think. An artist can admire Vibes Cartel and still want to compete with him. An artist can respect Alkaline and still believe he is better than him. An artist can listen to Skillibeng while developing his own sound. And an artist can study Bounty Killer, Beanie Man, Ninja Man while still trying to create something completely different. One of the biggest names connected to the conversation of Massicka is Vibes Cartel. In his interview, Massicka has spoken respectfully about Cartel and acknowledged its importance to the culture. And honestly, that should not surprise anybody. Whether you are a fan of Cartel or not, his impact on dancehall is enormous. The world boss has shaped a generation through lyrics, production ideas, branding, controversy, and an approach to music that influenced countless artists who came after him. Massicka grew up during that era, so when he speaks about listening to Cartel, that does not necessarily mean he is surrendering his identity. identity. It means he understands the foundation, and that's the point many fans sometimes miss. Respecting another artist does not automatically make you inferior. You can respect the person who came before you while still fighting to create your own legacy. That's exactly how music evolves. Massicka also reference to the artists who helped create the foundation for the current generation, such as Bounty Killer, Beanie Man, and Ninja Man, who represent different parts of dancehall history. Before streaming numbers became a major measurement of success, artists had to build their names through sound systems, physical records, radio, stage show, mixtape, street promotion, and relentless performance. The environment was different and difficult. Fans physically bought CD, people would line up for music. Sound system could make or break a song. A DJ playing your record could change your career. And an artist had to fight for attention in a much more physical way. Massicka reflection and growing up around that culture is important because it shows that his appreciation for dancehall did not begin when he became successful. He was a fan before he became the artist, and that matter. One of the strongest ideas from the conversation is the description of dancehall as a non-stop fight, not necessarily a physical fight. You have competitive fight, a fight for relevance, fight for opportunities, fight for attention, fight for bookings, fight for listeners, fight to stay creative, and sometimes a fight simple to survive because music is not only entertainment for many Jamaican artists. It is how they feed their families, it is how they employ people, it is how they support communities, it is how they create opportunities. So when an artist says they have to keep pushing, that's not just motivational language. There can be real economic pressure behind it. One successful song might create opportunities for dozens of people. One failed project can affect an entire team, and one major performance can open international doors. One bad business decision can close them. That's why the music industry is much more complicated than what fans see on Instagram. Now, we have a lot to talk about Skillibeng because while Masicka is speaking about the importance of respecting the entire culture, another conversation has been developing around him and Skillibeng, and this one has dancehall fans paying attention. Skillibeng has become one of the strongest names among the younger generation. His rise has been impressive. He developed a recognizable sound, he created a recognizable image, and he built a fan base that continues to support him. The crocodile imagery became strongly connected to Skillibeng brand. That image is now instantly recognizable to many dancehall fans, and that is why when Masicka used language that some listeners interpreted as a reference to the crocodile imagery, people immediately started talking. Here is where we need to slow down though, because YouTube is full of people who will hear one line and immediately announce artist A just destroy artist B. That's not always responsible. A lyrics can be interpreted several ways. Maybe Masicka intended it as a direct subliminal, maybe it was simply creative wordplay, maybe it was a reference to something completely different. Maybe the audience is doing what audience always do and connecting dots. Until the artist confirm the meaning, we should not present speculation as facts. But here is what we can say. Fans heard the reference. Fans connect it to Skillibeng, and that connection created a serious conversation. That's enough to make the situation interesting. Another layer was added when Bad Nation entered the discussion. The argument being made was essentially this. If Masicka is sending a message towards Skillibeng, what is Skillibeng going to do about it? That's the question fans want answer to. And this is where dancehall become fascinating because a subliminal can remain unanswered. An artist does not have to respond. Sometimes ignoring a line is the smartest move. Other times, silence can be interpreted as weakness, and that's the dilemma. If you answer, you may escalate the situation. If you don't answer, fans might say you are afraid. That's why clashes are difficult. Every move has a consequences. Another part of the conversation involved the idea of Skillibeng being Prince of dancehall. That title carries weight, but it also creates pressure because when people call you the prince, it eventually they're going to be asking the question when you're going to become the king, and that's where comparison with established artists become unavoidable. Massicka has already built his legacy. Skillibeng is building his, so naturally people are asking who has a stronger position. Another might have bigger record. One artist might have more ears. Another might have more momentum. One might have better lyrical depth and another might have stronger street energy. That's why declaring a winner before the battle even starts does not make any sense. Now let's move on to another part which surround Kemar McGregor and album chart activity. There were claims and commentary regarding album appearing at the top of iTunes charts and questions about promotional spending, timing, and competition. This is where we need to be extremely careful. Online commentary about chart position can sometimes involve speculation about how promotional campaign work, but unless there is documented evidence, we should not present allegation about somebody buying a chart position as established facts. What we can say is that chart competition has become an important part of modern music marketing. Artists, labels, teams, and promoters invest heavily in getting project notice. They advertise, they promote, they push streams, they encourage purchases, they organize campaign, and sometimes several major projects arrive at almost the same time. That is when competition becomes intense. Now we reach the real art of today's story, loyalty. This is where Footer Hype enter the conversation. Footer Hype has been discussing ideas surrounding loyalty, relationship, artists, crews, and people who work behind the scene. And this topic is bigger than one artist. It is an industry issue because every successful artist has people working behind them. Footer Hype use a powerful analogy involving planting a tree. Imagine somebody plants a tree. They water it, they protect it, they nurture it, they spend years helping it grow. Eventually the tree produces fruit. Then somebody else come along and say, you plant it, but you can't pick the fruit. That creates a serious question. Who owns the reward? The person who planted the tree, the person who owns the land, the person who provided the resource, the person who did the work, or the artist became the public face? This is not a simple question, and that is why arguments about loyalty can become extremely emotional. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you agree with Massicka approach to music? Do you think an artist can respect Vibes Cartel and still compete against other artists? What do you think about the growing conversation around Massicka and Skillibeng? And finally, what do you think about Footer Hype argument that people behind the artist deserve more recognition and better treatment? If you made it all the way to the end, big respect to you. You are the reason Daily Scoop keep going. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you have not already, turn on the notification bell. Respect to Kipridge and his family during this difficult time. Until the next one, stay safe, stay blessed. Until next time, big up yourself, keep your eyes on the culture.